We're going to break the Buckeyes down with former receiver DeVier Posey and with Tim May. You hear them both on 97.1 The Fan. We're going to talk Buckeye offense. DeVier, who is going to be the starting quarterback and why?
I have a love and affinity for Lincoln Kienholz as a young player growing up in terms of being an athletic quarterback. But my money, I have to put that on Julian Sayin. And he's becoming a leader. He had a great spring. And on top of that, he has a rapport with Jeremiah Smith and Brandon Ennis and Cardinal Tate from their SFE days back in 7-on-7 when they played in high school. So those guys went and won the national championship with that. So I'm hoping we will lean on that chemistry in our passing games that these guys have played together before.
You're saying Julian Sayin. All right, Tim, make an argument why it could beat Lincoln Kienholz.
Julian Sayin gets banged up? No, I'm just messing. Because Lincoln Kienholz had a really good spring also, and we've all watched him physically mature in front of our eyes. And then on top of that, you still like that running ability of a quarterback in college football. He offers that maybe a lot more than Julian Sayin's got at this point. So, I think this battle, as Ryan Day has said all along, the battle is going into preseason camp still wide open. I mean, Julian Sayin was leading at one point, then Lincoln Kienholz and Julian Sayin in the spring. So we'll see how it figures out.
All right, Adam, this is like no year we've seen in a while. The fact that they're opening with Texas and let's say not Kent State or Ohio, how important is it for Ryan Day and Brian Hartline to have a quarterback in place sooner than later? And is it important to go into this game with a solid number one?
I would argue it's more important in the locker room than it is on the field. I think both of these guys are very capable when it comes to on the field leading Ohio State in a big game like that. But in the locker room, you need to find your leader. That's what's happening right now, is the guys are trying to figure out who has that voice. That's what made Will Howard so good. That's what made C.J. Stroud so good. Obviously, they could both throw the football. They were great at reading defenses. But in the locker room, they were the unquestioned leader. When you get into a scenario like this, you don't want to split in the locker room. You don't want half the guys saying, I want Lincoln, and the other half saying Julian. You want one guy to establish himself so that when they walk into Texas, everybody knows that's our guy.
All right, DeVier, you're over there quite a bit. They have a rookie quarterback, so whoever it's going to be is going to be a rookie. Mm-hmm. The O-line is going to be crucial. I think we can agree on that. They have a new coach, Tyler Bowen. What is the biggest thing the O-line needs to do this year, especially in that opener with Texas?
I think guys like Carson Hinsman, who have been shuffled around last season due to injuries, and also these guys had to go through training camps where they were battling over and over again with guys for starting jobs. They have experience, Dom. They're going to be an experienced group. And the thing for me, there's this overarching sentiment I feel around Columbus and Central Ohio is that we're satisfied as a fan base with this national championship. I heard Ryan Day in an interview, guys, and I know this is a little off topic, but I wanted to mention. He said he wanted to be the first Ohio State coach to win to win multiple national championships. Yeah. If there ever is a time in Ohio State history for us to win a back-to-back national championship, I think it's this year. And I'm not saying that we're going to win national championship, but I just want our expectations for Caleb Downs and company and Jeremiah and Smith and company to just be a little bit higher as a fan base because we got a good group, guys, and I'm excited about it. So.
All right, Tim, Tyler Bowen will also be the run game coordinator. Break down what you think the pecking order will be this year when it comes to the running backs. And is there any concern trying to replace guys like Quinshon Judkins and Trey Henderson?
Nah, there's no concern. I mean, they just got drafted. They're going to be big-time NFL players. They are easily replaced.
Well, you sound like you're joking there, Tim.
I am
Was that
joking.
facetious,
I
as
am
they
facetious.
say?
Well, James, people have scored almost any time
well,
they got in the game.
I've been saying this for 2.5 years. The people's choice is probably going to be the number one running back. You never know. C.J. Donaldson, the guy that caught everybody's eye in spring football was Bo Jackson, the freshman. Boy, what a name.
Absolutely.
Right up there with people's choice. But the bottom line is there are talented backs are not on the same. They're not the same backs as the two they're replacing, Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. Not only they're grizzled veterans, but they brought a little bit different approach. I mean, Travion was the breakaway guy. Quinshon Judkins, no arm tackle was going to stop him. That's what these guys have to establish. But you got to remember, we were talking about this on the radio. DeVier and I were the other day. I mean, number one, this is a very talented team, but it's a very inexperienced, as in youngish team. And they're not going to be the same team in November as they are in the opener against Texas, but you can say the same thing about Texas.
Adam, Brian Hartline's the new offensive coordinator. He's also going to be calling the plays. What do you think the biggest challenge will be for him taking over this offense? And let's face facts, it's not like Ryan Day's not going to be involved.
Well, I think that's going to be the first challenge, is finding a balance with Ryan Day and finding almost the voice in there to be able to stand up to a guy that is the head coach, because that's what you need. You need guys. I have no doubt in my mind that there were times this year where Chip Kelly and Ryan Day were having discussions on the headset, not agreeing.
You mean like the Michigan game?
But I agree that there were probably times when it worked a little better.
Like the Penn State game?
Yeah, like the Penn State game, when they found ways to make things work. You have to have somebody that is willing to stand up to you. And I believe Ryan Day is a great play caller, but I also think Brian Hartline is the guy to stand up to Ryan Day and say, hey, I think we should call this here. He's also going to have to shift his mindset a little bit from being on the field, being the, not a rah-rah guy, but an energy guy, to all analytics. Because when you're up there, you can't communicate with the players. You're just looking at football almost like it's a video game, almost like you're watching film in real action. And that's a whole different mindset. But I think Brian Hartline is the perfect guy to do that. I mean, he's been in this offense for so long. He's ready.
DeVier, whoever the quarterback's going to be, there's no question they're going to have outstanding receivers to throw to. Expectations for Jeremiah Smith as a sophomore, but let me just say this, he's not sneaking up on anyone this year, is he?
No, I think that is the expectation for him, is to how you can adjust to being the man. How can you still impact the game, Jeremiah, and everybody sees you coming. Everybody knows you're not the best receiver in college football. You're one of the best players in all of college football. So how can we get around that? And then also for him, there are areas of growth to where I think Marvin Harrison was late in his career, to where he can line up at any wide receiver position. We got to get Jeremiah to that. I think in the Rose Bowl we saw glimpses of him being in the slot and misplacing him, and you could see how he can affect the game when he can be in the slot or outside, and you don't know where he's coming from. So looking for him to take that next level, Dom, being able to line up anywhere.
Tim, as I look at Jeremiah Smith, and
like this,
I look up and what he did as a freshman, unbelievable. Let me ask you, and you've been doing this a long time, I've been doing this a long time, and I want to hear what you say, and then I'll tell you what I think. Is he the best receiver that you have seen in Ohio State history, or will he be the best receiver when it's done?
That's an unfair question, because it's an unfair comparison. I mean, Chris Carter's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I saw him as a freshman. First year I started covering Ohio State football in 1984.
He was a better pro than college, Joe.
No,
he lost some.
Well, his senior year,
Jeremiah Smith dropped his first pass. Remember
his senior
that.
year was taken away from him. Let's put it that way. Number two, Chris Carter had a lot of the records that Jeremiah Smith is breaking, on the way to breaking, or
smash.
Yeah, or
smash those records.
Exactly.
Yep.
Emeka Egbuka, all these guys have been breaking. Running down the line, Terry Glenn, Joey Galloway. I mean, I can name 100 guys almost, it seems like.
Michael Jenkins, Marvin Harrison.
Michael Jenkins, Marvin Harrison.
This man
Jr.
hasn't played more than one season.
Right.
You're naming guys that played their whole career.
Correct. That's what my point is. This guy's different.
Yeah.
He's bigger, wild. And he's tall, and he's fast, and he catches everything.
He's a robot.
And he's a go-to guy. Plus, what you like about Jeremiah Smith in the opener is, remember, he was used as a decoy against Texas.
Yeah.
He wants to get about 8 or 10 catches against Texas this time around. So he's driven. What really stands out about Jeremiah Smith is he is not satisfied in any sense of the word.
So you're not saying he's the best you've seen. I'm saying right now, what I saw this year, this guy is on a collision course not only to be the best, I think he's the best.
But I'd put a highlight reel on everybody I name, including Garrett Wilson.
No, Dom,
it's not fair to do
I
that.
think if he continues this trajectory, which it feels like he will, it feels like he might get better. I think at the end of the day, it may be a different, it'll be a different level. I don't know that the conversation will that be that.
But holy smokes, Quincy Porter made one of the great catches I've ever seen.
I'm just talking about what this kid did as a freshman.
Yeah, in terms of value, year for year, what he got out of his freshman year, Dom, like people that played here, and I'm a wide receiver. So my career can't stack up to that one game.
Yeah, you didn't say DeVier Posey, Tim.
It's a lot. It's a
what
lot.
the heck?
It's a lot. It's
I'm
all
sorry
good,
about
Dom.
that.
It's okay.
All right,
I didn't take it personal. Too.
Adam, Jeremiah handled his business pretty well as a freshman. He is getting ready for his second year. And, you always worry about the sophomore jinx and all that stuff. But as he comes in, He's a favorite to win the Heisman. He's on the front of EA Sports. Is there any concern? I mean, who knows what he's going to make in NIL money? There's a lot around this kid now. Do you worry about all that? Because
not even a little bit.
Not even.
And here's the thing. Here's what makes Jeremiah Smith so rare, and I'll put Caleb Downs in that category too. These are guys that are unbelievable football talents. They are undoubtedly the two best players in college football. They are. Jeremiah Smith is a freshman still. I mean, I guess he just turned to a sophomore here.
He's 19.
He's 19 years old.
Yep.
And yet he handles himself like a 10-year vet in the NFL. You do an interview with him, you say, Jeremiah, are you the best freshman to ever come through Ohio State? He says, I do not care. I just want to get better.
He says the right thing.
He does, but he follows it up with his actions. Behind the scenes, he's been outward about the fact that he wants to be more of a vocal leader. That's a challenge that you have as a sophomore. It's not like Jeremiah Smith is kicking his feet up saying, hey, I'm the best ever. I'll be fine. I'll see you guys against Texas. He's working every day.
And both of those guys are preparation freaks.
They just love football.
Freaks. So that already puts you a cut above.
With that said, though, DeVier, you played the position. You know what it's like, and the attention this guy's getting, the hanger-ons and all this stuff. How tough is it? Because everybody wants to have a piece of him now.
Yeah.
How hard is it going to be for a 19-year-old kid to block all that out?
I just think this kid is really special. And I think what we're witnessing here in Ohio State history, we've kind of seen like two flashes of greatness before like this. It was when Big Daddy Wilkinson was on one side of the ball and Orlando Pace was on the other side of the ball. They crossed times in Ohio State. We have Caleb Downs on one side of the ball and Jeremiah Smith on the other side of the ball. I think we just caught lightning in a bottle with these two, Dom, and they're going to continue to get better. And I'm not worried about they're not fluff guys, not mashed potato guys. These guys are steak.
Wait,
So,
what's wrong with mashed potatoes?
It doesn't fill you up like steak, Adam.
You eat enough mashed potatoes, you'll be full. I promise.
They could be back
They're
to
a
back.
full course.
They could be
They're
back
a
to back.
full course meal, man.
They could be
Absolutely.
back to back first players taken in the NFL draft.
You know what I
Cardinal
mean?
Tate,
Amazing.
talk about him because, Jeremiah
Cardinal Tate's
gets,
really good.
Thank you for your
time, Tim.
Jeremiah gets all the attention, but
Well, you're the one giving it to him.
Well, I know, but Cardinal's he's gonna
have a
go
huge
early in
year.
the draft.
Yeah,
Huge year.
Cardinal Tate, we saw him grow up in front of our eyes last year, man. In that Northwestern game, what a boost for him playing in front of the home folks in the city where his mom unfortunately lost her life and stuff. And you just saw him mature, in my opinion, as a player. He might be the leader in that room if you really look at it. He
Absolutely.
and Brandon Ennis, from the terms of just being the voice in the room that tells people when to sit down, when to stand up, etc. But Brandon Ennis also, man, ready for a breakout.
All right, for all you guys, free for all time. Biggest concerns with the offense coming into this season, and what the fans should feel the best about, what Ryan Day and the coaches feel best about. Biggest concerns.
I'll go. I'll say my biggest concern is just this offense finding its identity. I think that's something we see every year with different teams. You bring in a new offensive coordinator, I guess move Brian Hartline, you've got a new quarterback. It's going to take some time to figure out what this offense looks like. It's got a lot of talent. So if you're a fan and you expect them to go out there and look exactly as they did in the national title up and down the field, that's not how this works. They've got to find themselves. It may take a month. It may take 2 months. The good news is the season is long, but my biggest concern is just these guys getting the rhythm. The best part, I think the tight ends. No one's talking about them. I think they have the best tight end room in the country. Yep. And I think that is going to help this offense exponentially.
They've hit home runs 2 years in a row with transfer portal tight ends, which is hard to do.
Absolutely. My biggest concern this year is late game execution. I haven't felt comfortable going into the season since C.J. Stroud's last year of, hey, I know this group can go down the field in 2 minutes and execute. We had it with Kyle McCord. We had it with Will Howard. And we're going to have it with Julian Sand or Lincoln Kingholz. We have to see these guys execute and win late games. We lost one out in Oregon. We all remember that play. And you learn that experience. Now you can execute late in the game when you beat Texas in the playoffs. So super excited to see this group going. I think what I expect from Ryan Day this year is a different Ryan Day, just being that Hartline is in place a little bit, and he might grab the wheel sometimes from time to time.
Yeah, we kind of glossed over the offensive line, but that group's got to come together with a couple of new starters. But Ethan Onianwa, the transfer left tackle from Rice, man, he looks the part. And in the spring, I think he got better and better as it went on. And then, like we talked about a while ago, we talked about this in the radio too, Carson Hinsman, the way he kind of had a chip on his shoulder for want of another term, he's in the doghouse at the beginning of the year last year, and suddenly he was one of the saviors, man. And Luke Montgomery, the way he came on at guard, Tegra Shabola, they really expect a lot from him. Right tackle is the battle we're all watching. Austin Seerveld probably would get the start there if they started tomorrow. But, Philip Daniels and a couple other guys are in the running there. So that group has got to really come on. But I really believe the depth over the last couple of 3 years has gotten playable depth, has gotten so much better in offensive line. I know, all you got to do is look back to last year when they lost 2 starters and won the national championship.
Yes, sir.
And can we all agree we feel pretty good about the receiver core?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they'll be okay.
That's the strength?
I feel like they'll be okay.
They'll be fine.
All right. There you have it.
Are you going to ask me, is that the best receiver core I've ever seen?
Well, it's pretty dadgum good as far as I'm concerned. Keep it here on 10 TV, 10 TV Plus, 97.1 The Fan for all your Buckeye football needs.
Perfect.
And we are going to break the Buckeyes down with former receiver DeVier Posey, Tim May. You hear them both on 97.1 The Fan, and we're going to talk some Ohio State defense. All right, Tim May, Matt Patricia, the new defensive coordinator. Your impressions of him taking over so far and running this defense?
Well, number one, I'm trying to figure out what to call him because it's Matt Patricia, but one of the coaches the other day was calling him Pat. So, I'm not sure what's up with that, but we'll get past that soon enough. Bottom line is it's going to be, from one week to the next, maybe a different thing to watch. I mean, he likes to take the talent and do best with what talent he has, put them in the right positions, the good positions to make plays, et cetera. It's going to be a little bit of a change-up from Jim Knowles. Not a whole lot, but just enough. I mean, you rob Peter to pay Paul. Yeah, there's a deficit at defensive tackle when it comes to depth, but there are all kinds of ways to deal with that. And,
let me ask you this, though, Tim, because you had a really good relationship with Jim Knowles. You talked to him a lot. Just in your conversations with this guy, what jumps out to you? And from my standpoint, he's very knowledgeable. He is not what I thought he was going to be. He's
Really?
very accommodating.
Yeah.
And seems very nice. And,
What, did you think he was going to be mean?
Well, there were other narratives.
The people that dealt with him at the Detroit Lions, he was trying to be a head coach for the first time and stuff, and that didn't go down real well with some of the media up there. That's what Dom is talking about and stuff. I like the guy a lot. You know why? Number one, he loves airplanes. He loves aviation. So does Tim May. So we get once again we get along great walking through the door. But then past that, he's really cerebral. He's pretty soft-spoken, unless he has to speak up. He's very. All you got to do is look at his past. And yeah, he was working with Bill Belichick, but look at the innovations and stuff he did with the Patriots from year to year. One year he had to coach up. When he was coaching the safeties, he had to coach up 11 different safeties through the course of a season. Yeah. That's crazy.
I think
Adam,
Ebner was one of them.
Yeah.
Adam, how much do you think the defense changes under this guy from what we saw last year?
I don't think too much. I mean, I think you're going to see some of those wrinkles that Jim Knowles brought with him that sometimes we all made, jokes about or different things, the different positions that all had names. Yeah. That might die down a little bit, but at the end of the day, this is the Ohio State defense. It wasn't Jim Knowles' defense. Yep. I think that was a big proponent of keeping Tim Walton and promoting him and Matt Guerrieri is to, hey, shape this defense now with a new defensive mind, but still keep it. We don't want to go through another 3 years of change. I mean, I understand Jim Knowles won a national title, and he will forever have that at Ohio State. But it took 3 years for that defense to really start to hit on all cylinders, as it does when you're implementing a new system.
There was a need.
Well, that happens because you implement a system. And when you're trying to implement a system, that jack position is a telltale sign
Yeah.
that I need to recruit players for
For the
system.
position.
When Ohio State switched to a game plan mindset,
Yeah.
like let's use our guys, that 3 safety look with Hancock and Downs and everybody and Sonny Styles being able to move and interchange, it allowed us to have way bigger plays on defense and impact the game. So I think Patricia will take that approach of game planning and using guys' talents and abilities versus a system.
And,
I
and
think-
he said as much that he was going to do
absolutely.
that.
And I also think there's a little bit of a misconception that this defense is a bunch of new guys. There's
No,
a lot
these
of
are
these guys.
experienced
Yes,
guys.
they didn't start last year, but
Played
at
a lot of
every
ball.
position, these are guys that have played a ton of football at Ohio State.
Absolutely.
They just didn't necessarily. I mean,
They're just first full-time starters for the first time.
yes, I look
That's
at
it.
someone like
Yeah.
Lorenzo Styles. He was in on the fourth down play against Texas.
Arvell Reese.
Like these guys have the experience. They're just being the starters for the
Absolutely.
first time.
They're all 4- and 5-star recruits.
Yes.
I mean, what are we talking about? DeVier, Patricia is a guy who spent the vast majority of his career in the NFL. He won Super Bowls with the Patriots. He was a head coach with the Lions. With all that said, the players, they know who this guy is. The goal is to play in the NFL. When they look at his resume, what does that mean to the players?
I think the players are in a state to where you can have that NFL player-coach relationship because these guys are a lot more mature than we were in terms of even their schedule. You know, they have a lot more time to game plan, a lot more time to study film, and have these interactions with coaches in terms of preparation. I think Ohio State in this defensive group, they'll meet well in terms of, hey, Patricia, this is what you're used to with guys. Like, you have these extra meeting times. Ohio State players have this time to get better in terms of what we're doing schematically and game plan-wise. He's going to enjoy our guys here.
Timmy, they lose a lot of experience and talent on the defensive front. We just said it. They recruit 4- and 5-star players. There's guys been waiting in the wings. Any concerns do you think they have reloading at those positions?
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is, I mean, the 2 ties last year, Tyleik Williams and Ty Hamilton, you know, those are big losses. Caden McDonald, Edric Houston are ready to step up. We've been talking about this since the spring, but developing the depth below them, they didn't get anybody in the transfer portal in that regard because they were looking for, as Ryan Day said, they're not looking for place fillers. They're looking for guys that could come in at least at the same level and compete. Guys have got to step up in the rest of that room, including Tywan Malone, who's been here for a while, from a transfer from Ole Miss, Will Smith Jr. There are several people that they could look at in that group who really need to give them some depth there. But like I was talking about Matt Patricia, you know, you can go into a situation to where, okay, we've only maybe got 3-4 defensive tackles we really trust. Let's swing a little a beefier defensive end down in there and really mix things up, get some good matchups and stuff. And Matt Patricia is all keen on doing that kind of stuff also. So they're loaded at defensive end from the standpoint of depth. But like you said, 2 new starters.
Adam, how about the linebacker position? Let me just say, and big shock here, Sonny Styles is amazing. And, you know, this guy is going to have a big year. I just believe big things for him. Who else jumps out at you? Arvell Reese?
Well, I think it's interesting. Those 2 are the 2. And I kind of like that this year. Doesn't feel like there's going to be that much rotation in the linebacker room. You look at someone like C.J. Hicks. He's not there anymore. That's how good Arvell Reese was, is that they said, okay, we've got to get C.J. Hicks on the field somewhere else. Sonny Styles, I don't know if they've already put his name on the back of the Blocko jersey, but it's coming. He is perfectly fit for this role. He is almost identical in a leadership aspect to Cody Simon. Very soft-spoken, but when he talks, you listen. I just think
Pad talks.
Huh?
Pad talks.
Pad talk. Exactly. He talks with his game. Exactly. And so when you look at this linebacker room, I think it's exactly where it needs to be. Arvell Reese. It's a name we know in Columbus. It's going to be a name we know nationally here pretty soon because that man, he showed a lot during that playoff run.
I'll tell you another name you're going to know is Peyton Pierce.
Yeah.
He really bloomed in the spring and stuff. James Laurinaitis was singing his praises. And, of course, James Laurinaitis, ladies and gentlemen, is a linebacker coach who kind of decides who goes in.
Going in the Hall of Fame, too.
Yeah. And Riley Pettijohn, I thought, really came on in the spring. A couple of young names there. So they've got some depth. How much they're going to play those guys. C.J. Hicks has moved to the defensive end, edge kind of guy. So it kind of frees them up to play a couple of those other guys kind of early.
I do think Yeah, and Pettijohn is a name that I think we could see a lot.
That's a great name.
Yeah, it's
all of those are great names.
Yeah. But I do wonder, like, if you're Laurinaitis, obviously you don't want your guys in there. It's a 16-game season. We hear them all the time. You're going to need them all. But I like the idea that for the first time in a long time, it doesn't feel like the linebacker room is crowded. It doesn't feel like everybody's looking around saying, we got to get these guys on the field. We got to rotate. Arvell and Sonny are two of the best linebackers in the Big Ten. Sonny's one of the best in the country, and I'm excited to just see him get his.
It's interesting. You think Sonny Styles might get that 0 jersey, the leadership jersey, the Block O jersey. Cody Simon is one of the best I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I thought he was the best linebacker in the country the last half of the season last year, and I'll argue with anybody on that, especially in the playoffs.
Look at the Rose Bowl.
Exactly. I mean, you look at all those games. They've got to have that guy, like you said, step up and not just be the leader, but be the playmaker.
So who could be the other? Are you going to mention a name?
Well,
the other zero. I didn't know.
Oh, no, you go.
Caleb Downs wouldn't come out of 2 because of the legacy of number 2, obviously.
But you've got to have a guy that's been here. He's Columbus raised, a leader of the room. And it doesn't hurt that he's got the green dot on his helmet. He's the guy making the calls to everybody.
It's only Sonny.
All right, DeVier, you just mentioned him.
Sonny,
Caleb Downs, he was huge a year ago. Safety Caleb Downs.
Very good.
Just amazing. More than likely, this is going to be his last year. But I say that, and in the world of NIL, do we really know? He might come back for another year.
It's going to be Caleb Downs' last year.
Let me tell you something.
NIL ain't paying for that salary.
Barring injury, NIL isn't going to touch what he's going to be worth in the
As the
National
number
Football
2
League.
overall pick.
With that said, what do you expect from him this year?
I expect to see a Jim Thorpe season, maybe even a Chuck Bagnarik award on top of that. He is the type of leader who went to Ryan Day and said, hey, can you kind of get rid of this national championship stuff? Like, we don't want to see that. We want to stay focused. We were on the Buckeye cruise this year, Dom. I sneaked down to the weight room, and he's down there at 6 a.m. with no headphones. Absolute psycho if you're working out with no headphones at 6 a.m. I'm excited to see this guy play.
Were you working out at 6 a.m.?
I was running on a treadmill, but I had
Did you have headphones?
Pre-workout, a coffee.
Okay. Well, good for you.
Right, this guy is working out. So I'm explaining that situation because I want you to understand the seriousness and the depth of his focus.
Where were you at 6
a.m.?
to
the table.
I was down there spotting him.
Dom was down there. Yeah, we had breakfast after.
Hey, I spotted Caleb Downs on my way to
Dom was
breakfast.
snoozing away.
But all seriousness,
Hello, I see you.
He's a pro's pro, and he's going to have a great year.
Yes,
and we don't understand how talented he is. But when you talk about the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson, Eric Berries, guys that are elite DBs, he's probably better than those guys.
By the way, I was going to mention
head, and he's got an outstanding head on his show.
I was going to mention him earlier for that Block O, but I thought we were talking about linebackers at that point.
Absolutely.
Cornerbacks, real quick.
Yes.
Feel good about that?
I feel really good about that. And also Mr. Sanchez, I think he'll sneak his way into the playing time. He's a very big kid.
That is a grown man.
6'3", and he can guard a big receiver. And I'm pretty sure if I'm him, I'm trying to get as many reps against number 4 as possible so I can get better.
Yeah, the last 2 years, if you want to look up 5-star in the dictionary, there's Jeremiah Smith sitting there and there's Devin Sanchez sitting there.
When I met Devin Sanchez, he said, how you doing? And I looked up at him, and I'm like, you're a freshman in college?
Not
When I was
yet.
a freshman in college, I was this tall. And
All right, guys, last
Same
couple
strength.
things. This for all of you. They lost so many key people on defense from a year ago. Matt Patricia, the new defensive coordinator. What do you think the biggest concerns, what's keeping him up late as he gets ready for this season, especially that opener with Texas?
I don't think listen, there's obviously concerns on the defensive line. You want to make sure that you guys are proven there. A lot of questions there. But if I'm Matt Patricia, and first of all, in the many conversations we've had, this guy is so analytical about football. I don't think he's concerned right now. I think he's excited. I think Matt Patricia is probably up at night, but he's not stressed. He's messing around in his mind with all these different pieces and what he can do.
He's dry erasing bullshit.
Yes, exactly. and I watched him during the coaches clinic sit there and kind of go through all the different schemes. He's a football guy, and I genuinely feel like I talk about the new pieces. The cornerback room, I think, might be the best in the country. The safeties are great. The linebackers are fine. You have questions on the defensive line. I don't think it's insane to say the expectation for this defense is to be a top 5 defense in the first month of the season.
Absolutely.
All right, last thing. They are favored, this football team, to repeat as national championships. Vegas has them number one, Texas right behind them. They're going to meet in the first game of the year. How hard is it, Tim May, to repeat as national champions, DeVier to repeat as national champions? 2014, they won the national title. Many of us would argue 2015 was the better team.
I think it's very hard to repeat as a national champion when you got a lot of the talent and the first round guys coming back. With this team, we got a lot to prove. A lot of players have played a lot of ball, and we don't know their names yet. So I think in our favor, we have a lane to repeat because the motivation is high.
This is going to sound funny.
That'll be it.
Funny. I don't mean, funny, ha-ha. But in some ways, it's a little bit easier. Wait a minute. Listen, 2002.
He laughed.
2002, that 2003 team was really good, except it was missing its running back.
Yep.
You
He needed
remember
a
that?
running back. Yep.
Maurice
needed a running
Claret.
back. Yep.
But otherwise, super talented team that just missed out going back and playing again for the championship. That was a two-team BCS playoff.
Right.
In 2015, they lose that ridiculous, forgettable game
Freezing
to Michigan
cold.
State.
Michigan State.
That 2015 team was the best team in the country, in my opinion, by far.
Yep.
Because everybody was almost back from 2014.
destroyed Notre Dame.
Only 4 teams made the playoffs in, and they were on the outside looking in. Maybe 12 teams make the playoffs now. They got to lose 3 times not to make the playoffs. So they're going to be in it. So that means they're going to have a shot. And they're going to be so much better, barring catastrophic injuries. They're going to be so much better, this team is, a youngish team, in November and December than they are in September and October.
How hard is it to repeat? No Ohio State team has ever done it. Think about the talent in Ohio State history. They've never hung back-to-back banners. If I'm Ryan Day and I give Caleb Downs and I give this whole team credit, they have wholeheartedly treated this as a hard reset. I think if you went into the Woody and sat these guys down and talked about repeating, they'd kick you out. They don't want to talk about repeating. They want to talk about Texas, and then they want to talk about Grambling State, and then they want to talk about OU. And I think that's the only way, because you're 16 games away, 15 games away from a national title. You can't be talking about Miami before you get through Texas.
Plus, stuff has to go your way. I mean, Georgia is the last team to repeat, right?
Absolutely.
We know it went their way in the fourth quarter against Ohio State.
What happened, Tim?
Ohio State was kicking their rear ends, and then some plays happened. And next thing you know, just
Dom,
like
how
Ohio
do you
State,
how do you
get
feel
away with
about
just like
that?
Ohio
think
State.
you know what-
You
Think
get away
about-
with a target.
Think about the
There
huge
is no
plays.
target.
You get away with a targeting, and that's how you repeat a national
Think about the huge
championship.
plays Ohio State made in those
Thanks
playoffs
for
last
firing
year.
me up.
This man's going to be sitting at his desk huffing
Thanks
and
for
puffing for the
firing
next
me
hour.
up. Georgia dogs.
Yeah. How about
All
them
right,
dogs,
there you
Bob?
have it, folks. Keep it on 10 TV, 10 TV Plus, 97.1 The Fan for all your Buckeye coverage needs. We'll see you.